What if I told you the way it has always been done is not the best way? Facing your fears will change your life. The passion behind this journey is merging two separate worlds into one with the goal of creating value and awareness for a better life.
I'd rather be sidelined trying to achieve greatness than watch greatness achieved and it only set on the sideline. Now introducing your host, Jacob Emery.
This episode of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast is brought to you by Unlocking Greatness with Jacob Emery, a coaching community built for those ready to become the strongest version of themselves. Weekly calls, proven playbooks, and a community built to grow. Greatness is not given, it's unlocked. Join us today at jacobemery.com or DM coach at jacobemery44 on all social media platforms. Welcome back to another edition of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast. And today we have a special, unique, first-time type of guest, Sebastian Rusk. This man is all about podcasts, and podcasts, my friend, suck. And if he would have heard the first couple episodes of mine, he probably would have agreed that my podcast most definitely sucks. So, founded Podcast Launch Lab in 2016, a keynote speaker, a comedian. I don't think I'm going to be able to do the resume justice. So, Sebastian, tell the people who you are.
Thanks, Jacob. I appreciate you having me on the show. So, just like you mentioned, keynote speaker, comedian, podcaster are all terrible career choices, but I got lucky. And I get the unique opportunity of helping people radically change their life and their business because they started a podcast. Been on this path for the past 9.5 years and don't see it changing for the foreseeable future. It doesn't feel like work. It has become my life's work more than anything.
Absolutely love it, man. That's incredible. And the ability to tell a story is something that is often profound, and it's so simple, yet so rare for people to be open and willing to be vulnerable enough to tell that story. What was it for podcasting for you that just ignited this spark that you have? Because I can tell how passionate you are about it.
Well, let's back up to the beginning of the story.
Mm-hmm.
So 2008, the market crashes. I'm living in Southern California, very expensive place to live with no money. So I moved back to I sell everything on Craigslist, moved back to Miami, a full-time single dad with my daughter. Come back to Miami, market crashes here. 6 months later, it's a disaster. However, at the same time, I had been on MySpace and an early adopter of Facebook, and I was actively utilizing these platforms. I hadn't done anything business-wise with them. So from 2008 to 2010, I was a non-contributing member to society. I was a total degenerate. And I think a lot of people were because of the recession. So in 2010, I had a big awakening moment. And I'm like, I need to go see Tony Robbins. So I call my friend Whitney that worked for Tony at the time, and she gives me all the details for the upcoming Unleash the Power Within. I'm like, that's what I need to do. And the event was going to be in Long Beach, California that summer. And I had like $6 to my name, so I had no idea how I was going to go, but I had at least all the details. So she calls me back an hour later and she goes, I totally forgot to tell you that my best friend lives on Miami Beach and she's part of Tony's core team of 6. She'd be a great introduction for you. And at this time I'm thinking, what could I possibly bring to the table for somebody that works for Tony Robbins? But at the same time, I said, let me stay open. I'm in figure it out mode here. So I met up with this individual that Friday for a drink. And I'll never forget it. We were sitting on Miami Beach at TJI Fridays on Ocean Drive, like the worst place you could ever hang out in Miami. And she says, so what's next? And I said, I don't know. To which she replies, and I quote, that's a fucking problem. Now, these are my offended days. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, who does this broad think she is telling me what I'm doing with my life's a problem? But then I quickly checked myself. I was like, well, she works for Tony Robbins and you're a degenerate. So you should probably shut up and stay curious.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, so what do you mean by that? And this is where it all changed. She said, I'll tell you exactly what I mean. Let me ask another question. Who's missing out? Because you're not showing up. And everything changed that instant. That Monday, I had hired a freelancer to create a logo for the company that I had conceptualized, which was called Social Buzz TV. This was going to be an online media outlet. We were going to later become an agency to help people with their social media strategies. I was going to be an on-air personality, new media, if you will. And I started evangelizing this all around town, and I would start going to networking events and sponsoring events. I started doing my own networking events. Then I'd bring sponsors in. Then I'd do social media boot camps. And eventually people would say, hey, maybe you can help me start my podcast or my social media strategy. See where my brain's at these days. And so I started the agency a year after. So I started it, didn't make money. I just knew if I kept showing up, and I knew what most people didn't about social media, that people would eventually hire me to do something. Mm-hmm. So started the agency, wrote my first book, became a speaker, did all the things. Right around that time, met a guy named Gary Vaynerchuk. And Gary and I became friends, and he became an incredible mentor in my life and really helped me create the blueprint for what would become my personal brand as Sebastian Rusk, but also what I can be doing to have my business complemented by that. Mm-hmm. So all that was great and everything, but 6 years into it, 2016, I hated what I was doing. I was like, I don't care about your Facebook page or your content or creating the content. This is so labor intensive. And I was wearing bow ties, and I was the MC at large events, but I wanted to be a speaker, and I did speak, but I wasn't speaking as much as I wanted to. So in March of 2016, I decided that I wanted a girlfriend. So I hopped on Tinder when it was still a dating site, and I found a girlfriend. And I met up with her on March 1st, 2016 in downtown Fort Lauderdale. And she said, I'm in this personal development course, and it's great. And I'm like, personal development? Talk to me about it. Tony Robbins, Walked on Fire a couple times, the Landmark Forum. What I didn't tell her was that I didn't do anything with the majority of the training that I got. So she quickly convinced me that I needed to be in this course as well. And I was resistant to it, but she just signed me up for it. And I ended up joining the program. It was a long weekend and then a 5-day program. So it was 2 parts. Extremely resistant, which most of us are when it's time to go in. And got through the first part and I just figured out what's going on. And personal development 101 is, what happened, and then our story of what happened. We like to jumble all that together. So I went to the first part. Cool. Let's go through the second part. Then it really started to click, because then I realized that for 35 years, I had been living a story that wasn't even true, blaming people that I shouldn't be blaming because they simply did the best they possibly could do. In my case, it was my dad. So when I came out of this, a couple things happened. Number one, I learned how to love myself. I didn't hate what I was doing. I hated myself. Yeah. When you hate yourself, you hate everything around you and everything you're doing and everyone around you.
So good.
So second thing that happened, I became fully accountable for my life, past, present, and future. Every single thing that happens to me is my fucking fault. All of it. Can't blame mom. Can't blame dad. Because you know what I found out, Jacob? You know what my dad did? He did the best he possibly could do with the resources he had.
Yep.
That's it. So when I got through that training, I picked up the phone, I called him, and I said, hey, Dad, I got my power back. He didn't know what the hell I was talking about. But I said, I just wanted to let you know that I love you. I forgive you. You're my dad. I only have one of you. And while we don't have a close-knit relationship, I've been able to compartmentalize you in a healthy way, to love you from a distance. And you're my dad. You're my only dad. I just wanted to let you know that. And that was it.
Wow. Man.
Because, people will argue with this one, Jake. And that is, true forgiveness is waiving the right to ever bring it up again. Well, you don't know what they did to me. No, I don't. But I know how you can be accountable for it. So I get done with all of this. The girl breaks up with me in the middle of the course. as if personal development wasn't good enough. Let's throw a little heartbreak in the mix. I'd still marry her today. That was 10 years ago. She's got a whole family and everything. I'd be a home wrecker then. But I'd still do it. Yeah. So, I get done with all this and I'm a little banged up. So I took like almost half the year off and I had another awakening moment. I woke up and I'm like, all right, dude, you got to get back in the game. Like we can't just smoke cigarettes and eat McDonald's double cheeseburgers, lay in bed and cry all day. Mm-hmm. Like you've got to do something. So I'm like, okay, let's massive action. Let's get up. Let's go rent a desk at a co-working space. Let's figure out how to exit from Social Buzz TV. Just start weaning the clients off, and let's figure out what's next. Well, I run into an old friend of mine when I get to the co-working space that has an internet radio show there. So I was like, what the hell is that? And she was like, well, she couldn't even tell me. And I say, you can just create a podcast. She goes, I don't know how to do that. Why don't you walk me down to my car? Let's continue the conversation. I go, okay. So I walk her down to her car, and I'll never forget it. We're standing there on the sidewalk, and she pokes me in the chest. She was kind of cute, so I was into that. I was like, do that again. So she goes, why don't you create a solution to help people start a podcast? Ooh. Antennas up. Mm-hmm. So I was like, let's grab a drink this week. Great idea. Great to see you. I'll be in touch. Ran back upstairs to my rented desk, took out 2 sheets of paper and a pencil, and I mapped out what would become the Podcast Launch Lab, which is a turnkey podcast launch solution to take you from idea to iTunes in 90 days or less so you can grow your business, radically change your life, improve your communication skills, and get your social media content game in check so you are an authority in your space. My brother, I have not looked back since, and I still feel like I'm just getting started. So now, like we started a conversation. I'm a keynote speaker. Well, before all that bullshit, I'm a powerful, lovable, authentic leader who happens to be a keynote speaker, comedian, podcaster, and the founder of the Podcast Launch Lab. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's a hell of a story, my friend. My God. I'll tell you what, there's so many dimes that you dropped in there. There's a couple I got to touch on.
Please do.
Life is a mirror. It is not a window. I have such a very similar story to you. It's almost eerie as I'm reliving mine as you're telling yours. Relatable in more ways than I'll even get into, but life is a mirror. It is not a window. Whenever we look outside that window for validation of a victim, we're a victim. This thing that happened to me, it all happens for us because everything in life is psychological failure unless death hits us. Honestly. Correct. There is no failure that is, we have survived every challenge that we've ever had in our life, Sebastian, because guess what? We're still fucking here. And nothing has taken us down because we're still here. Doesn't mean it's easy, doesn't mean it's not hard, but simplicity stands alone on we're here, we survived. Life is a mirror, not a window. Ownership is one of my core values in life. You have to take ownership in everything good and bad that's happened to you or for you, whatever it is, it's yours. And where you're at is where you deserve to be at. You don't deserve anything more than what you have. It's just a desire at that point. True forgiveness, that quote, I want you to re-quote. I'm going to write it down. What was that true forgiveness quote?
True forgiveness is waiving the right to ever bring it up again.
That is, man, I'll tell you what.
Most people are going to argue with that because you don't know what they did to me, Jacob.
Oh, yeah. But it doesn't matter. If you forgive, you have to really forget it. It's done. It's over. You got to move forward, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Sebastian, that is powerful. What was the attraction to content, the media game? What was the spark? Was there something from a young age? Seems like it's been kind of your go-to for a long time. What got you into this space?
I saw the transition. I was cast for a reality show on Fox back in 2000. In the middle of all this, like 2012, 2013. And I had to fly to New York for the day to meet with the producers. And I did. It was a quick meeting. It was like 10 minutes. So I had the whole day in the city and I was headed back to Miami that night, but I casually wandered over to Times Square. And as I looked around in the advertising mecca of the world, everyone was looking down at their phones. And I thought, wow.
The world's
what
changing.
An incredible shift in the way we communicate. Things will never be the same. TV on its way out. Radio on its way out. Again, now we're in this new realm of streaming and all this other stuff, but I saw where this was all going. I knew that I had a talent. I knew I had a gift. I started speaking in 2009 for a contract gig that I had out in Las Vegas prior to the social buzz stuff happening. And the second I stepped on stage, I was like, that's it. Like, I got it. And I got to do something with it.
That's so good, man. That's so good. I started a podcast because of a constraint and a complication in life that my communication skills were poor. I was at that point sitting in a visionary seat for a company where I owned a pipeline company. Me and my business partner were good old boy, throwback, redneck kind of, upbringing. And then we had to get in front of 100 people and speak. We had to speak to our company about where we're going, the vision for the future. And I thought, holy shit, Sebastian, I was a horrible speaker. And it's a work in progress every day. Insecurity from a young age. I was overweight growing up. I was bullied because of it. I was picked on. I loved running heavy equipment and working out at a young age. That's where the iron and infrastructure comes from. The iron built my personal and professional infrastructure with the heavy weight in the lifting world, and then the heavy equipment and track hoes and bulldozers and all that. And now it's like, well, I got to take another leap because I have to get through this thing and become a communicator of some sort. I don't know why exactly yet, but something's coming. And I know that this setback and this lack of skill development in our company is going to need to be there one day. And now I do weekly videos through our newsletter. I do interviews in the field for like core value recognition. I'm on camera all the time. It's one of the biggest insecurities in my life. Next to having my shirt off, it would be number 2. Having my shirt off in front of other people was the number 1 fear up until probably 10 years ago. And now I have my shirt off every fucking day. I'm on camera all the time. And it's not a fear that registers at all. I don't even get my heart elevated at all when I do it now. And I can tell you that just from my personal experience with the podcast, it has been the most freeing thing that I've ever done. Challenging, but completely freeing mentally, internally. Who I became because of this is profound for what I started it. The purpose for starting and what I've learned to this point, it's been life-changing.
Yeah. And that, my friend, is, well, first of all, I'm proud of you. Congratulations for choosing you.
Thank you.
And that's exactly why I do the work that I do. Stories just like that.
I often say that the only bad story, the only story that's not any good is the one that's untold.
Sure.
And it's how you present the story, and what is the pain, and then what is the progress because of that pain. And that's how, I look at what I did as just me. It's just my story. And I never thought it had value until I told it to a handful of people, until I started getting questions. And then someone came up to me one day and was like, hey man, you changed my life when you called me out on this thing. And it's the same thing that happened to me, and probably similar to you, where that one person said that thing. Yeah. Mine was my business partner now in a couple of businesses. I'm at the warehouse now where we own a supplement company together. And it's, what the hell are you doing with your life? The 20-year-old me in that dark place that you probably were, back when you started on telling your story, what the hell are you doing with your life? And I wasn't doing a fucking thing, but laying there, being a victim, stuck in a moment of my own problems. My own creation was my issue. The mirror was my issue. And Sebastian, when I took ownership of my life and looked in that mirror and said, this motherfucker right here in this mirror is going to stay in this mirror and never going to see this guy again. I'm going to bury that guy. I'm going to be reborn. And I tell you what, it went from $9 an hour to owning an 8-figure company in 10 years.
Let's go.
That's the turnaround.
Love it.
So what's next? What's next for Sebastian?
I mean, we're trying to get to 7 figures. I haven't been able to hit that ceiling yet. So that's what we're trying to, that's the next thing. It's like building something from nothing, which we've done. I say we've been all in with this. I started in 2016, late 2016, call it almost 2017, phased out social buzz, call it 6 years now. And we do great. We do multiple 6 figures a year, but I've probably been a little comfy.
It's natural, right?
Yeah. And my daughter, graduated high school. I sent her off to college. She's on her own and self-sufficient, lives in Dallas now. And, no one needs me home for dinner. I'm not married. I'm happy. There's a big difference.
Sounds like freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do whatever I want when I want with who I want. I'm on my way to Utah. As soon as we get done here, I'm going to go rent an RV and camp down by the river for a few days with my brother and his family and
That's awesome, man.
check out for a few days. So I've been enjoying kind of the stud ranch, if you will, because I raised my daughter on my own, put in 18 years raising her. And now it's real quiet around here.
Well, dude, I'm gonna cut right to the chase on that girl dad, because I have two daughters. I have a 7 and 4-year-old daughter, and
Buckle up, buddy.
I'm not ready for the next phase. I know what's coming too, but I just want to say
that bad. The worst part is when they're adults.
Oh, good.
Mine's
Good.
24.
Really?
Yeah. So that's that, because they're like, I'm an adult, and they are, and they're self-sufficient, which means if they're not self-sufficient, they're still on the payroll.
Yeah.
You still have a say-so.
Yeah.
But if they're self-sufficient off the payroll, they pay their own bills, and they don't call you for shit, but you want them to do something, there's the rub.
Yeah. Well, it's a fine line. I don't want my kids to grow up the way I did. Yeah, I want them to have a great life. I want them to not have the issues I did in life. They're going to have issues because everybody always does. I just want to make sure that they have a understanding of the world. They work hard and earn things, and they don't feel obligated to anything at the end of it. They know what it is like to have some delayed gratification. That's why I have them in jiu-jitsu. Delayed gratification, and they have to earn something and do something hard and have an outcome that you don't get today or tomorrow. It might be months from now. It's challenging, but it's so fulfilling. And I got two girls, man. I love them to death, and I absolutely have nothing but the most respect for what you did. So
thank you, man. I appreciate that.
That's
one
all
of the
for
most
you.
liberating days of my parenting, which we're never done being parents, but raising little ones, was the day that I told her that I have no fucking clue what I'm doing, and I'm just making it up as I go. And I'm wrong sometimes, and I'm sorry sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a liberating moment for me and for her, I think.
Mm.
And I think some of the best parenting advice I can offer, even though you didn't ask, is number one, kick your kids out at 18. Send them to college as far as they can possibly go. College is not about an education. It's about learning how to life, manage your time, play well with others, etc. Second, cut them off financially after college, and don't bankroll them through college either. I split undergrad with my daughter. She had a $200 budget and a meal card. Figure it out after that. Because what happens then? That independence is forced.
I have no choice. Yeah.
She called me 2 years ago and she goes, "What do I have to do for you to stop telling me what to do with my life?" I said, "Stop calling me for money." She said, "Done." Yeah. She said, "Done." She has literally not called me for a nickel since then. In fact, she'll pick up a bar tab when I'm in Dallas. She'll pay for an Uber. That feels great. Most dads won't let their pride let that happen.
Yeah.
But I was like, let's go. Absolutely. And now there's not a thing in the world I wouldn't do for her.
Right.
But those are, and I think there's too many parents parent for them, not for the kids.
So good.
I never want my kids to leave. Yeah, because you got fucking issues.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's
you're just
not
passing them down.
You have an 18-year task to raise them into contributing, respectful members of society. After that, you're simply a life coach when needed. And it's not when you need it.
Man, that's so good. That sounds like leadership 101, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Do you miss getting them phone calls though? Do you miss like that phone call of, "Hey, can you throw me a couple Benjamins real quick? I got this thing coming up this weekend."
I think all my old shit as growing up, not broke, but like just with enough. I think all my old shit showed up every time she would call me for money. And even though I had it and I would never have her not go without it. And I'm grateful for my sister and my mom, who were, great influences to her and always huge contributors to her life as well. No, because I'm proud of what she's doing. She works she's finishing the master's program. She works at Buc-ee's in Dallas. You ever been to a Buc-ee's before?
I have, yes.
Yeah. So they pay a grip of cash there.
Mm-hmm.
She makes like 23 bucks an hour,
Right.
plus benefits.
Yeah, absolutely.
So she's been putting herself through the master's program, paying all of her own bills, socking cash away.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't miss those calls because those, those calls don't exist anymore because she's good.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
But yeah, no, I do. That's another thing that we grossly underrate and undervalue is the time with our kids. Because once they're gone out of the house, the amount of weekends and holidays that you're going to spend with them get less and less every single year. My daughter hasn't been home in 2 years. She doesn't come home.
What is
She
it?
also has a boyfriend and,
Yeah.
they want to do everything and la, 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 But, in your early 20s, you're also not like, you know what, let's go home this weekend.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe some kids are. But, so yeah, that's the shitty part.
98%, I think, is what they say. 98% of the time spent with your kids is in 18 years, the first 18 years. And then after that, it's that 2%. And I think it was 98%, but it was like 90 or 98%. So it's a very, very high amount in that 18-year time frame that throughout life that you get to spend with your kids.
Yeah. Yeah. Wildly depressing.
Yeah, it is. I'm still in the journey on mine, and I try to,
Stay in the trenches, brother. My grandmother used to say the days drag on, but the years fly by.
It's so true too. And I'll tell you what, I don't ever believe I'll have balance in life. I am a complete crazy, wild visionary entrepreneur, but balance to me just doesn't fit, but being intentional. So I often reference intentional attention. I am fully present. Sebastian, you have 100% of me right now. I'm not distracted. I'm with you and you only. Yep. And being intentional about where you put your attention is how I always frame balance, because I think that balance is keeping everything even. But to me, intentional attention is about being 100% in on what you're doing that day. And I think, or that time, that hour, that minute, whatever it is. And for me, I want to be present when I'm with my kids, and being present's a gift to me. And I think that's why they call gifts presents.
Yeah.
Being present is a true gift, and finding the inner ability to not be distracted, especially in today's society, and be fully focused on what you're doing in that moment, it's pretty damn difficult.
Sure is. Sure is.
So
yeah, we live in a way. I mean, the lack of self-awareness that exists in the world today is mind-boggling.
It's insane. Yeah,
and challenging. So if you're not self-aware, for those of you not familiar with self-aware, that means understanding how you show up, how others perceive you. Knowing that, you're going to be a space cadet. It's like, most people are just, in the world of personal development, it's called caught in the drift. It's the whole idea around if I throw a log into a river, it's just going to kind of drift along from side to side. And that's what most people are. They're just caught up in the drift, just wandering around. Hello, Vanna, can I buy a vowel?
Yeah.
There's just no one, you talk about intentionality. Is that a word? Well, it is now.
It is now. I like it.
Yeah.
Sebastian Rusk, intentionality. Heard it here first.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, digging into you, not only looking in that mirror, but then looking into the inner being of yourself and truly becoming self-aware is one of the most rewarding and hardest things at the same exact time, because we are our own biggest enemy 99% of the time, with facing risk, with facing our fear and our ego.
Yeah, the inner critic.
The inner critic is pretty damn strong, and majority of people.
If you went down the street, where do you live? Where are you based out of?
Columbus, Ohio.
Okay, so if you walk down downtown Columbus, saying to people the shit you say to yourself, you would be in multiple fistfights. Multiple.
Mm-hmm.
I heard somebody say that a couple weeks ago, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's so true. They were fighting words. They really are.
Yeah, they are fighting words.
And when you think about it, like that, you really course correct
the
shit you tell yourself, because how we talk to ourselves matters.
It does. Yeah, it absolutely does. How how you look at a problem or how you look at yourself or how you look at anything, how you view it is going to be directly tied to the outcome. How you view things is how you do things. And I truly, truly believe that. And I'll take it one step further. I have standards that I live by. I call them the standards of greatness. I just launched my coaching program about a month ago, Unlocking Greatness with Jacob Emery is the name of it. And I think everyone has to have a standard in life. If you don't stand for something, then you stand for nothing. And so the standards for me are no snooze. No snooze. It starts my day every day. I wake up at 3 a.m. Monday through Friday. I'm at the gym by 3:30. I'm training until 5. It's non-negotiable for me. It's something I absolutely have to do. No snooze. The second one is physical output. Physical output at 10 minutes a day. It's a minimum 10-minute requirement, but it's doing something physically with intent to get better. And it could be yoga, it could be walking down the street, anything, but having intentional 10 minutes of physical output. And then the same with mental input, 10 minutes a day of something that's going to help develop you. And it could be anything in life, but mental input. And then track and attack. You must track your progress, attack every day. And I don't care if you're taking a nap today, if you're taking a shit, you attack it with all good intent.
Yeah.
And then the last one is gratitude and preparation every single day, and with gratitude. And so the loving yourself part, talking good to yourself, gratitude and preparation every day has to end on a good note. So positivity to end the day with gratitude, and then preparation for the next day. Because I think that success today started last night.
Yep.
Them are my 5 daily standards, and I live by them and have for a long time. And I think truly the compound effect of that small win every day is huge.
Yeah, it sure is. 1% a day is 365% a year.
And, even getting 1% a day, when you think about it, that's still a lot. Sometimes it might be 0.1% even, or it's just making sure that you're continuing that momentum in the right direction. Once you stop, it's a lot harder to get that momentum back in motion.
Yep, absolutely.
So Sebastian, let's do something a little bit different. Tell the audience something that they would have no idea that Sebastian Rusk has done, seen, experienced in life, something completely off the cuff.
Oh man. I'm never at a shortage of words.
Something unique about you that maybe no one knows.
I'm a pretty open book, so.
I know. I mean, you can be as open as you want with it.
I had braces as a kid, and I didn't go to my appointments, so they took them off, and I was a smiling train wreck for 45 years. And then 2 years ago, I decided to get them again because I didn't like what I saw, and now I got straight teeth.
You got
I haven't even
straight
told
teeth.
anybody that. Actually, people knew I had braces, but nobody knew I got them off. So
Look at them things, man. Them pearly whites are popping now. What's
I'm not used to smiling, so I'm like, oh yeah, I can smile now.
What's your go-to personal development? Whether it be a book that you want to mention, a type of do you do audio? Do you read? What's the go-to personal development for you? Because obviously you're a personal development guru, I can tell. But what is the go-to style or method or book?
Yeah, I like to read. My 3 reads every morning are, Proverbs has 30 books and 30 books, chapters, whatever it is, verses, 30 verses in it. So you can read one every day. So I read whatever the day is. So it's the 22nd. I'll read Proverbs 22nd for the day. I'll read the verse of the day, get up in that word. And then I'll read the Daily Stoic, 1-pager.
Love it.
Whatever the day is. And then I'll read the Self-Reliant Entrepreneur daily read.
Who's that one?
That is what is his name? John Jantz.
Okay.
The Self-Reliant Entrepreneur. Same thing. Those are 2 great dailies because it's just one. You open up to the date.
Yep.
The 22nd, you read the 22nd, and then the Daily Stoic has a podcast.
Yeah.
And he'll elaborate on that day. Ryan Holiday. He's great.
It's great. Ryan Holiday is awesome.
He is, as long as he doesn't talk about politics.
So coaching, investing in you as a person. You love yourself, Sebastian. You've invested in you. What's the best or biggest life-changing course as far as coaching or anything that you've been a part of?
I spend about 30 grand a year on coaching.
Yep.
And being in the right rooms. I've been part of an organization out of Dallas for the past 4 years. My friend Ryan Stuman started, called Apex. And that was the first mastermind experience that I had. But that was a complete breakthrough. Like I went from like barely making six figures to well over 200 grand, and then 225, and then 250, and then so. I mean, I have a unique product that sells in mastermind groups because everyone wants to start a podcast. But I've also been impacted by the community, been able to become a leader within the community, and then also just develop incredible relationships, friendships that will last a lifetime. So Apex has been one of them. And then my most recent investment was with Dan Martell. And Dan Martell wrote a book called Buy Back Your Time. It's a New York Times bestseller. This motherfucker is a superhuman.
He is.
I mean, ripped, rich, and rare are three very hard qualities to argue with. He slid into my DMs back in November. And
You're probably glad he did, right?
Yeah, man. And I was hesitant too.
Yeah.
It was like $9,000 to join at the time. And I think we're close to 60,000 in revenue from the people we've met in that group. Because Dan teaches, create content, talk to the internet, start a podcast, create content. And I've been able to, invite people on my podcast, meet them, and then say, you need to start a podcast. So those have been two of the most instrumental. I think I just got done reading Think and Grow Rich. And I think one of those principles are, get in a mastermind group, get in the right, get in some sort of community. And I didn't know how powerful it was until I did that. But I love meeting great people.
Yeah.
I don't know about just people. I want to meet dope.
Growth minded. I enjoy meeting people, but I will not tolerate someone who is negative. I call it protecting my positivity. I have no negativity in my life. I can't have negativity. If people were going to bring me down, if they don't help me evolve, then I erase it. I eliminate it.
Absolutely.
That's how I look at it.
Well, you get in a mastermind group, you're around like-minded individuals. They paid the same amount you paid to get in the group.
You belong.
You're like-minded. You are open to coaching. Dan is fucking ruthless.
I love it.
He will rip your tits off in front of 550 people on a call
too.
With no problem. Because that's how business owners and entrepreneurs need to be talked to. They need to be told the truth in a very matter-of-fact way with no fluff. You're not allowed to ask him hypothetical. You're not allowed to ask him how he's doing. He's fucking fantastic. He's always fantastic, and he'll always be fantastic. Yeah. And you're not allowed to ask hypothetical questions because they're manipulative and they don't even make sense.
Hypotheticals are hypocritical.
That's it.
Yeah.
He doesn't allow it.
So I joined in October, and I started my coaching business because he taught me how I can teach other people, because my communication ability is poor at best, but I can visually put something down and talk through it that way. And so the one thing I've learned that's just been crazy for me is if me and you are talking back and forth without having something in between us to see, we're painting a picture in our head. I paint a picture in my head. My words are trying to explain it to you, and you're taking my words and trying to paint the picture in your head.
Yeah.
But what I see and what you receive are so vastly different majority of the time. But if we're looking at the same damn picture, my words are going to speak to that picture, and you're going to receive it the way that I'm speaking to it. And there might be some discrepancies, but for the most part, we'll be aligned. And I'll tell you what, Dan Martell, Buy Back Your Time, cannot say it enough. Absolutely game changer for me as well. And I think I joined in October. And then,
you're in this group too?
Yeah, I'm in his group too. Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah. And
that's where we connected?
I think so. Yeah.
That's hysterical because I have a publicist and I thought that they booked this interview, and I hit them up. I'm like, this dude's not here. And we connected through Dan's group. That's amazing.
Yeah. It was through Dan's group. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cause I had to go back and check too. Like I went back on Instagram. I'm like, Sebastian, I was like, oh wait, I remember now. Cause you asked a question at one point, but yeah, it was, joining that group, man. I was like, holy shit, this guy I've seen next level coaching. I'm a strategic coach. I've been in it for 5 years in Chicago. Dan Sullivan, he does great work. And it's next level. Dan Martell as an entrepreneur himself, holy shit, man, that fucker is wild.
I called a couple people that know him and that are friends with him. and that were in the group too. A couple of Apex guys were in there too, so that helped out as well. But my buddy Chris Kelly goes, Sebastian, this is the best coaching I've ever received in my entire life.
Hands down. I haven't even asked the question yet. I've just been consuming it since October, and it has been like life-changing for me. So I haven't even had to go to that group and put a question out there, because everyone that I had or would have asked either got resolved or I didn't have enough information to actually ask a good question.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I'm not going to go on there and I'm not going to waste his time. And it was wild. Like within the first couple weeks, I probably watched 30 of them, different coaching calls. And I was just like, this guy is rocket fuel for me. It's what I needed.
Yeah, he is.
Absolutely.
He's a hug with a slap in the back of the head.
Yeah.
He gets me. I mean, again, I have the comedian angle that, humor often works, so I can crack him up, but he can also make me cry. And he's done it multiple times.
Sometimes that reality check is hard to receive, but it's so often needed.
I won 2 contests lately. I won the book review, which gave me 6 more months of membership. And then I won the engagement, and that got me a call with him and 5 other people.
Wow.
Man, I wasn't ready for what I got from that call. And then we did like a follow-up on his, if you haven't been on his Instagram lives, that's a good time to get some FaceTime with him. Mindset. Because remember, you're going to be able to take something from that you may be struggling with, have him help you break through that in real time, and then bring it back to your coaching business.
When does he do
Mondays, like 9-10 Eastern, I think.
Okay.
And he will always bring an elite person up first if he knows you. So I would suggest figuring out a strategic question you can ask him to get, so he sees you. And he because there's close to 4,000 people in that group now.
Yeah. So I've had a couple of questions wrote down, and throughout watching the coaching videos, I've actually figured out the answer to it just by watching older videos and stuff. So it's really interesting. And I keep doing that. Anytime I come up to a constraint I can't like work through or think through and get like clarity on it, I just write it down a little note, like, okay, one day I'm gonna ask it. And it's funny how I haven't even had to ask the question. It's resolved itself essentially through watching him operate.
Well, the McLaren mindset is only mindset questions, so nothing business. And he specifically was like, if you want to know about business, join my coaching program.
Yeah,
this is about mindset. What mindset questions do you have? What can I help you out with pertaining to anything in life? So that may, you may have just been thinking, what business questions can I ask? And those get resolved. But jump on that live.
I will.
Sometimes, I'm sitting there going, what can I ask him? What can I ask him? And I try to, and he brings me up almost every time.
Yeah.
So,
I can't blame him. You're a pretty funny son of a bitch there, Sebastian.
Thanks,
and your energy is contagious. I really appreciate your time today. Sebastian, I want to give you final thoughts. Where can the people find you? Sebastian Rusk, tell them where you're at, what you're about.
Absolutely. So I hang out over on Instagram. It's @podcastsuck. Jacob's going to make sure that's in the show notes, the description of this podcast episode, or wherever you're watching, viewing, listening, whatever you're doing. So just follow me over on Instagram. Send me a DM. Jacob, I've got a special gift for your listeners.
Let's hear it.
So just send me send me a DM with the word iron, and I'll reply back to you. It will be me. I'll reply back to you with that gift. And if you think that anything that I've said to you today resonates with you and has driven you to a point of action, or at least curiosity about starting a podcast to radically change your life or your business, connect with me on Instagram as well. There's a link in my bio that brings you right to my calendar to book a call with me, or you can just send me a DM with the word iron and say, hey man, I'm interested in chatting with you about starting a podcast. I can tell you this, that if you've been thinking about it, you've got a nudge. I said something today that really resonated with you. That, my friend, is reason in and of itself to give this a closer look, because starting a podcast could very well be your vehicle to making sure and guaranteeing that no one misses out because you're not showing up.
Dude, I cannot thank you enough for that. True forgiveness is waiving the right to bring it up again. That I got it wrote down. It's going to be something that I hang on to. DM Iron, Sebastian, my friend. I appreciate your time today. This has been absolutely freaking awesome. Everyone go out there, hit up Sebastian. Your podcast sucks just like mine did when I started it. It probably still sucks a little bit. Sebastian, I would love for you to check it out and tell me how bad it sucks after the show. Thank you, my friend, for joining me. That was the Iron Infrastructure Podcast with Sebastian Rusk. You funny motherfucker. And we're out.